Let me get situated here. It's a little warm out, but not too bad today. Hey everybody, I'm Mary from Mary's Heirloom Seeds, and welcome to my channel. I try to go live here every Thursday at 5 p.m. Central Time. I do try to go live in the garden because I love being out in the garden, even when it's super windy, super sunny and warm, especially when it's nice and warm. So if you haven't already, hit the thumbs up on our video and subscribe if you haven't already. So today is a garden Q&A, but I also have a lot of great information to share with you as well, just kind of updating you, giving you some more information about what's going on at Mary's Heirloom Seeds. And generally when I go live, hey Christine, thanks for joining me. Whew, it's windy out here. Generally, generally when I go live, I like to answer some of the customers' questions that I've had throughout the week or throughout the month. Hey Kathy, thanks for joining us. First timer here, well, welcome. So there's been a lot of questions about garlic specifically. Do you see that beautiful garlic in the background here? So I've had so many emails recently. Hey Desiree, thank you so much for joining me. So a lot of questions about garlic. I've had a couple people, hey there, good afternoon as well, from East Texas, and you're in Southeast Texas. I had two people in particular just in the last like 2 or 3 days say, hey Mary, I pulled up my garlic and it doesn't look normal. It hasn't formed. That's because it is way too early to start harvesting your garlic. So I wanted to address that first and foremost before I get started. If you're new to my channel, in the description section of this video, you will find links to my comprehensive planting guide. In that guide, you will find the information on growing garlic from seed. Kathy says, I grew garlic last fall, first time for that too. It's almost ready for harvest. It is not ready for harvest, Kathy. So please listen to what I'm about to share with you. I'm in East Texas, but it's still going to be the same for just about everybody. Hey, Tina, thanks for joining us. Hello, Idaho Garden Girl. So we generally plant our garlic here in October, sometimes late November if I'm a little late to get started. But no matter when you plant your garlic, you do not want to harvest it until about June or July. And here's why. It needs warm temperature for those bulbs to start forming. It also needs some good amount of fertilizer. So if you haven't fertilized it yet and there's no snow on the ground, now's the time to fertilize. You can use worm tea, you can use compost tea, you can use kelp tea, you can use alfalfa meal tea, you can use a general all-purpose liquid fertilizer if you like. The sun just went behind the clouds, so it's a little cooler now. You do not want to harvest too early. This looks beautiful. But if it started to get a little dry or if it started to look a little brown, it's still not ready because the soil hasn't warmed up long enough for those bulbs to properly form. Super, super important. Garlic is definitely a labor of love. It takes quite a while. Like I said, we do not harvest until June or July. Now, some people might have a difference of opinion on the timing on when to harvest it. But that's my opinion, and I've been growing garlic for quite a while, and it works really well for us. Kathy says, this is great information. Thank you. I'm so glad you mentioned that for the garlic. But like I said, I've had quite a few emails, private messages on social media, and things like that, specifically asking about garlic. And a lot of people are new to garlic, so that's why I wanted to share with you. So if you look behind me, I posted on Facebook last year when I put together these beds and it looked like a bunch of graves. It was in October, so it was kind of perfect timing. Tina says I've left my garlic in ground until late July and August with no problems. Absolutely. So you definitely need to wait a little longer for garlic. It might look beautiful and ready to harvest. This garlic looks amazing, but it's not ready. Now, if you are growing a hard neck variety of garlic, you're going to start to see some scapes pretty soon. I'm already seeing some scapes forming. If you don't know what a scape is, you'll see a long stem, kind of a little bit of a pointy bulb at the end. Sorry, it's a little windy here today. And that is a scape. You can make scape pesto, you can freeze it, you can freeze dry it, you can dehydrate it. There are a lot of ways to use scapes. I like to just chop it up with a little bit of olive oil, add some eggs. It is to die for. Also, you can make scape pesto. So that is something that you can harvest from hard neck garlic varieties. If you're not sure if you have a soft neck or a hard neck variety, I'm happy to answer your question if you send me an email. I may not be able to answer it live during my chat. I do try to answer your questions while I'm live, but sometimes I can't see. Now that the sun is not shining right in my eyes, I can see some of your questions, and now that my eyes are watering, maybe not. So, what is the most exciting thing going on at Mary's Heirloom Seeds right now? Two things. Our anniversary is next month, so I'm super excited. We're going to have so many exciting, celebrating announcements to make. Sorry, guys. Can't see. There I am. So it is Mary's Heirloom Seeds anniversary in May. We started Mary's Heirloom Seeds. I started Mary's Heirloom Seeds back in May of 2011. So we are at our 12-year anniversary. We're going to have 12 days of announcements. We're going to have some seed sales. We're going to have some giveaways across all of our different avenues of social media and our email and whatnot. So in the description section of this video, you can sign up for my email. If you're just watching this, today is April 27th. And I will have a video posted on Sunday to our YouTube channel. It will not be live. It'll just be a video that I upload, and that will be the first of many announcements for our giveaways and for our anniversary. Thank you, Christine. I appreciate it. The next announcement, just in time for our anniversary, is new t-shirts. I've had so many requests to bring our t-shirts back. So we've got 2 colors now that are available for pre-orders at Mary's Heirloom Seeds. I forgot to share the link in the description section, but I will share. You can check it out at marysheirloomseeds.com. It'll be t-shirts and gear, I think it is. And the first color is sage. I love this green. And the second color is called rust. But I really think it almost perfectly matches our tiny kitten, our orphan kittens that we rescued last year. It matches their color, so I'm gonna call it the orange cat shirt. For those of you that don't know, we rescued 2 tiny kittens that were abandoned last year, and they turned 1 year old today, which is pretty exciting news considering. Sorry, guys. Considering they were only 10 days old when we brought them home. I was so scared to bring these tiny kittens home. I'd never bottle fed kittens before. I've had cats before, but I've never had that small of cats. And they were just these tiny little things. There's some videos on my Facebook and my YouTube channel. I know it's Mary's Heirloom Seeds. We're not about cats here, but they are an important part of my life. So my tiny terrors turned 1 year old today. So if you haven't already, like I mentioned, sign up for the emails. Got some wind coming. I have a new tripod finally, so my video isn't flying away while we're live. Just my eyeballs and my hair, so no big deal, right? So yes, we are celebrating 12 years of Mary's Heirloom Seeds. If you haven't signed up for the emails, you'll be getting them if you sign up, and I'm just super excited to share so much information. So that is some of the major updates. You're just going to have to stay tuned for the anniversary celebration because that's going to be pretty exciting. That will be my Sunday spotlight, will be our anniversary. And there's going to be giveaways on my YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and an email to sign up on my website. So I'm super excited about that. And also for the garlic information, in the description you'll find my comprehensive planting guide. So next on the garden Q&A is about heirloom corn. So another common question I've received this week from customers has been about heirloom corn. What can I plant? How can I plant? When do I plant? And what do I plant? So if you are planning on growing corn, you really need to make sure you understand what type of corn you want and what type of garden space you're going to use, and then also how to plant it. So for example, if you want popcorn, you are going to want to choose something like glass gem corn, Dakota black popcorn. Calico popcorn is a brand new one for 2023. So the popcorn are specifically for popping. They're not necessarily a corn on the cob. If you want a sweet corn, you're going to want something with sweet corn in the name. So we've got Aunt Mary's sweet corn, we have Country Gentleman, we've got Golden Bantam. So those are just several of our sweet corn varieties. Now, let's get into some of the more, I wouldn't necessarily say useful, but all-purpose corns. So if you are looking to grow dent corn, is the most common for chicken feed. Reed's yellow dent corn is fabulous as a dent corn for chickens. So if you didn't already see, we have chicks now again here at Mary's Heirloom Seeds. Really exciting. When we moved to East Texas, I had to give up my chickens, and that was so sad. And so now we found a local farm. A friend of mine found a local farm, and she recommended that I check out her chicks. So we brought home 13 chicks. All of them are doing fabulously. In fact, they're growing so fast, they need to go in a separate, or I should say in a larger brooder before we put them outside, because it's still too cold outside. But if you want to grow your own chicken food, dent corn is highly recommended for chickens, and Reed's yellow dent corn is a fantastic producer for that purpose. Another question I had this week was, what kind of corn should I grow for hominy? And that one is hickory cane dent corn. That produces very large ears, very large kernels. And hey, Jolene, thanks for joining us. So hickory cane dent corn is a very old variety, and it's perfect for hominy. What else? Another question. They were asking for a field corn that they can eat as a corn on the cob. They said that they prefer field corn over sweet corn, just as a fresh eating corn. So I answered that question with lots of information. I believe they are in 8B, so plenty of time to grow, a long enough growing period. And the three varieties I recommended to try were Boone County, again, produces a very large kernel, a very large ear. Painted Mountain Corn. That's a really good one because it matures very quickly. Painted Mountain Corn, if you're in an area that has a shorter growing season and maybe it gets cold, maybe you have drought, Painted Mountain Corn is drought tolerant, cool tolerant. It is originally from the mountains of Montana. So if it can survive Montana growing, it should be able to survive in our zone 8 here. So those are two great dent corn varieties that you can try. Hopi Blue Corn was another one. That can be harvested earlier in the season when they call it the milk stage. So that's a good field corn that can be a dual purpose. You can use it to, sorry, a field corn. I did say that right, not a dent corn. Hopi Blue Corn is a really good one for a dual purpose. You can use it as a field corn to feed your animals, but you can also use it as a fresh corn if you like that type of corn. The more you know, right? So I've had a lot of questions about different crops you can grow for livestock. So that's a really good one. When you see prices in the store on animal feed going up, it's always nice to produce some of your own food on your property to feed your animals because you want to offset feed costs. And I've discussed this quite a bit actually in different videos and different articles that I've shared. You can see some of it right here. This is mustard. I'm going to pull one of them up for you. My mustard is bolting. This is Komatsuna mustard. So if you want to start feeding your chickens fresh from the garden, this is one of those things that you can do. It is bolting, which means it may or may not become a little bitter. I don't find that it's bitter, and you can actually eat the flowers. Really good for you, actually. So mustard is a good one that you can grow for your animals. You can pull it up, you can let it flower once it bolts and these flowers produce seeds. If you really want to, you can just let them continue to reproduce. And the flowers are delicious. They do, I wouldn't say they have a mustardy flavor. They taste more like the leaf, then it's not spicy. Hey there, how's it going? I missed ya. Suburban Homestead. Hey, homesteader. Thank you for joining me. So for those of you that are just joining me, today is a garden Q&A. If you have questions while I'm live, please feel free to ask. Normally I have a specific topic, but today I'm kind of bouncing around because I had a lot to share with you. We talked about our anniversary celebration coming up this week. We talked about garlic. Look at this beautiful garlic over here. This is, you can see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and there's a couple more, 5, 6, 7 on the other side. Hey, David, thanks for joining me. So I did, Sean says, how is heirloom corn planted? Great question. And I did mention I was going to talk about the how on corn. So not everybody knows that corn is wind pollinated. So it depends on how much space you are giving your corn in how you're going to plant it. If you have an acre, planting in rows is perfect. Yeah, you can definitely plant row after row on an acre. But let's say you have a smaller space. Let's say you have a 4-foot by 8-foot raised bed here. Now, I just sent out an email this morning about planting the Three Sisters garden. So someone commented, I believe, that I was doing it wrong, which is totally fine. I tend to break the rules all the time in the garden. I don't have a way that you have to do it every time. So what I did is I planted a patch of corn in the middle. And then I planted my squash on the outside, and then I added some flowers, and then I waited till my corn was 6 inches tall or taller before I planted my bean seeds. Now, the reason I did that is because if I planted in rows and I spread them out, say I only planted 2 rows, well, I may have a low pollination on my corn because I'm not planting them close enough together. So by planting in a bunch or a square or whatever you want to call it, I'm going to have a better chance of pollination because each one of those little tassels go to each little kernel. I know, I kind of tend to be a rebel gardener every now and then. So in a 4 by 8 raised bed, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to plant my corn in the middle, and then I'm going to plant something on either side of it. I'm not going to plant some here and then some there, because then you have this patch in the middle where you may lose some pollination if you don't have them planted close enough together. So if I was to do a 4-foot by 8-foot raised bed and I wanted to do companion planting with my heirloom corn, I would plant at least 4 feet in the middle by 4 feet of corn. Is heirloom corn for eating? Absolutely. Heirloom corn is no different than some of the corns you get in the grocery store, except a lot of the ones you get in the grocery store are a hybrid variety. Heirloom corn there's different types of corn. So earlier in my discussion tonight, I shared the different types of corn. Now, also in my email this morning, I sent out choosing the right heirloom corn for your garden. And it's more so choosing what you want to grow for what purpose. So you have sweet corn, you have popping corn, you've got field corn, you've got you've got wax corn, and you've got not dent corn. So you've got a couple different varieties. I probably missed one, but it's in my comprehensive planting guide. Now you got me on the spot, and I'm going to probably remember like 2 minutes after I finish my live chat. So yes, even what's called ornamental heirloom corn is still very much edible in a different way. So I also have a video called what is it ornamental? Because I had somebody tell me that you can't eat ornamental corn. Okay. Rainbow Indian corn is considered an ornamental corn. Glass gem corn is considered an ornamental corn. You can eat it. It just depends on how you want to eat it. So glass gem corn is a popping corn. I mentioned that earlier. Painted mountain corn. I mentioned that one earlier as well. It's a field corn. You can definitely eat it. You can either use it dried for cornmeal. You can use it dried for corn flour. Grind it up. Thank you, Larry. I was just going to mention that. So yes, short answer made long, you can definitely eat ornamental corn or heirloom corn. So if you're looking at this 4-foot by 8-foot raised bed, if I was going to plant heirloom corn, I would plant at least 4-foot by 4-foot in the middle. You could do 6-foot by 4-foot, and then you could do a couple of squash on one side. Larry says cook it to mush. You can eat it. Yeah, there's things like polenta, right? Something similar to grits that you could make with corn. You can make corn bread. So there's a lot of different ways you can eat it. So you've got corn in the middle, maybe a row of squash on the outside, a couple varieties of pole beans or just a couple different pole beans growing up around it. And then on the outside, again, you can plant another type of squash. And that's essentially your three sisters. Now, what I would add to that would be a pollinator, because even if you have wind pollinated corn, you still have squash on that other side where you really want to attract some pollinators to your garden. So I like zinnias. I like sunflowers. I like zinnias in a raised bed because the sunflowers can kind of take over. So that's the simplest way. If you had more than a raised bed, say maybe you've got 12 foot by however many, 12 foot by 12 foot. Yes, you can definitely add a bunch of different varieties in one place. So you can get your corn, you can get your squash. If you want to add a couple companions, you can do nasturtiums. You can add some dill to repel different pests. You can add some catnip on the outside to repel some pests. If you are planting some varieties that may be not as pest tolerant, I would suggest adding marigolds to the outside of the garden because they can attract aphids, which can take down some of your plants. So those are a couple ways that you can use companion planting when you're growing heirloom corn. There you have it, folks. All right, so I hope you enjoyed my live chat tonight. I always like to keep it short and sweet and have a specific topic. So tonight's topic was garden Q&A, so you can ask your questions. And then also we discussed garlic and also some corn. Catch22 says, the cats are a pest in my garden. So for cats, I don't have a lot of cats issues here in my garden, but you can use super stinky stuff like lemon balm and lavender, and that can really help. You can cover you can cover your ears after they are pollinated with a sock. I never even knew that. That's a great suggestion. So, thank you again for joining me once again for my weekly live chat here at Mary's Heirloom Seeds on YouTube. You will find more videos coming up. You've got my comprehensive planting guide in the description section of this video. It will have all the information you need to grow a successful garden, grow successful garlic, grow successful corn, and all the good stuff. If you have any specific questions, you can send an email to mary@marysheirloomseeds.com, and I generally respond within 24 to 48 hours. If you don't see a response from me, please check your spam folder because it's probably in there. Alrighty, everybody, I'm Mary from Mary's Heirloom Seeds, signing off, and happy planting.